What we have here is a shining example of a 126 heater box being rebuilt. It was a project that started out as a very slight leak from the heater core. I bought a new heater core. I proceeded to dig into it, and as I discovered, you can't pull the heater core without pulling the whole entire heater box and the evap core. So I figured in for a dime, in for a dollar, and as you see over here, we've got the old heater core and old evap core, and they're waiting for the local guy who comes and grabs the aluminum. And meanwhile, what we have here is a product of about 3 days work. As you can see, new evap core, new expansion valve, still sealed on this side until we're ready to put it in. I could show you the new heater core, but I've already enclosed it up. Camera won't deal with that light in there, but as you can see, every foam seal on this thing has rotted. You can see there's still one old foam seal that I haven't replaced yet on the outside here. All the junctions between the heater core parts, all that foam had rotted. Once this thing came apart, it became apparent to me that it was going to have to be resealed from the ground up, so we used caulk in these seams here, and all of the seams that used to have little foam strips in them that just turned to powder when I opened it up. All of these ducts here used to have foam glued to both sides that served as the wedge at the spot where the duct meets the flap. In this particular case here, I went with billiard felt, and I'm really happy with the results. As you can see, it makes quite an excellent seal down here, and that should last way longer than that felt will. Billiard felt over here on the recycler flap. As you can see, it works nicely. Those two vacuum pods had to be replaced. They always do. Actually, I had already replaced them before I yanked this thing out. So blower motor still original, gonna have to be replaced soon. Luckily that can be done from underneath without having to pull this whole box. It's only about an hour-and-a-half job compared to, you know, the now week that I have spent on this. But as you can see, everything is sealed up fresh. Every flap is happy, flappy, flap happy. The interior doors here, I've went with foam on these because there was just a little bit of a gap there, and actually I didn't have the billiard felt yet, so I went with sticky tape foam that you get at Best, Lowe's rather, and there you go. And on this flap here, this spring activated one used to be foam. I went with fabric and rubber cement. You can kind of a nice tough hard wearing fabric. You can't really see it, but I let the fabric hang out. I mean, it starts on this side, loops over, and goes to this side on both edges. But the fabric loop stands a couple millimeters proud of the edge of the plastic. You can see there's some give there because that's just fabric sticking out, and that helps make a nice tight seal when this thing is closed. I think it shouldn't whistle. And it'll outlast that foam, that's for sure. Never want to have to open this thing up again. One point of interest, this is the OEM radiator core, a Bear. The one I got was a Nissan's delivering the difference. They do deliver the difference, I discovered. The difference is actually quite tiny, but required quite a bit of work and stress. See that little notch right there on the inside there? There's one right there. What that does is that aligns the two aluminum pipes that come out of the top of the radiator core like this, and it sets the angle that those pipes go in when you seat it with the O-ring and you stick it in there. Problem was that the Nissan's radiator had that little tab in a very slightly different place that threw the angle of the pipe to something like that. And once that was the case, the stupid thing would no longer fit inside the heater box because these pipes, as you can see, come out at a very specific distance to fit through this gasket, to fit through this clamp. And Yeah, Nissan's delivered the difference right there. They delivered about a 5-degree difference in where this thing here sits. On the OEM radiator, it's about 45 degrees from, you know, the radiator. It's you know, right about 45 degrees. And on the Nissans, it's more like that. So, had to Dremel out the notch in the aluminum radiator tube that meets with that to allow this tube to, you know, go where it's supposed to go, because there was no way to get it in the heater box without that. Anyway, you'll experience that yourself if you happen to get one of those Nissan's radiators. Heater cores, that is. Always want to check these vacuum pods. Really, really good. They're fucking hard to get to. Use a little Mighty Vac. Vacuum them down, make sure they operate, make sure they hold a vacuum for an extended period of time. These double-chambered ones, if you've never replaced them, it's a good idea to replace them. They're almost always shot if you haven't replaced them anyway. Single-chambered ones tend to hold up a lot longer. This one back here by the Evap, I just went ahead and replaced him because that's just so damn hard to get to. I don't even want to think about trying to get to that with, you know... That's just impossible. So went ahead and replaced that with a brand new OEM one. And there we have it. This job is a bear. And it says so right there, doesn't it? What next? What next? All those missing little clips. Boy, you really want to make little troughs, little containers for each thing you work on. Because trying to remember where all that stuff goes after 5 days, you know, whew. Getting a little old, might not remember things like I used to. Still, I think I would have done a lot better had this project not dragged out so long. Nevertheless, when I'm done here, I fully anticipate that this thing will never have to be serviced in the lifetime of the vehicle. So, here's hoping. Hope you learned something. Bye.